Peace, 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 peace. What's good, YouTube family, gang? Thank you for joining me again on my channel. You know I'm grateful to have you and I'm grateful for you. As you can tell by the title of this video, we are talking about the role of Aries within the United States of America's natal chart. Today we're going to be talking about mainly the life lessons that surround the Aries energy within the United States of America's natal chart. This is going to apply to your sun sign if it's in Aries, to your south node if it's in Aries, or to your ascendant if it's in Aries. So very important. You're going to find that a lot of the things that we discussed today are going to just really be relatable. We're going to mainly talk about the associated planets and asteroids first, because these are going to give us more of the character traits that these lessons take on. It's also going to give us more of the themes that these lessons take on, as well as some of the abilities that come with mastering these lessons, and some of the like side effects that also come with, you know, not learning these lessons or haven't even come into awareness of these lessons yet. Also, as you can see here, I have the natal chart and I have the fourth house highlighted here. And this fourth house is in the sign of Aries, all right? And this is letting us know already that Aries, within the Aries energy within the United States of America, has a lot of life lessons that surround the home and the family and the inner foundation, because that's what the fourth house rules, okay? And I wanted to give just an overall understanding of how we're going to be discussing these lessons today for anybody who also wants to dive deeper into their own natal chart, or who just wants to even analyze the natal chart of the USA. So we have the first square, which is over here to Capricorn, which is dealing with your identity, the first house, and your resources, the second house. So we're going to discuss that lesson first. The next lesson we're going to be discussing is the square to Cancer over here, which is dealing with your relationships and your intimacy. So that's also another lesson we're going to discuss. And then the last lesson we'll be discussing will be this opposition to Libra here in the 10th house, with your career and your reputation and your overall public image, okay? And we do have Saturn here, okay, as well. So this is gonna be speaking a lot about restrictions and limitations coming from authoritative figures, you know. And I'll also put some asteroids here if anybody also wants to look deeper into those, but we will jump deeper into Libra, deeper into the series, as well as Capricorn and Cancer. But for this video specifically, when we're talking about the lessons for Aries, I wanted to bring out these squares in this opposition because they really help you get an understanding of the lessons here and what it is that you need to kind of be watchful for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the associated planets and asteroids. So the first one we have here is Chiron, okay? And Chiron in astrology is known as the wounded healer, okay? So this is a very wounded, or very powerful, I should say, asteroid in astrology, and it speaks of a lot of transformation, inner transformation. It just speaks of a lot of traumas needing to be transformed and healed, okay? So you automatically see that that's a theme that's surrounding a lot of Aries energy within the United States of America, okay? And so when it comes to the asteroids here, I also gave the brief qualities around how that energy shows up within this sign of Aries, all right? So for Chiron at 20 degrees here, I wrote mastering the art of partnership, healing relationship karma, overcoming primal urges, balancing masculine and feminine energies, protecting your masculine and feminine energies. So here in Chiron, you see there's a theme of needing to really heal a lot of your partnership. So that's where a lot of the wounds are kind of stemming from. And again, we have this all happening within the fourth house here. So we see that this is happening some wounds within the relationship of the home or the family life. There's something there that's really wounded and needs to be transformed or healed, is what Chiron is saying there. You're also going to want to really pay attention to this opposition with Saturn here, because you have one of the most, I should say, this asteroid Chiron speaks of like your greatest wound, but it's also your greatest power, because whatever whenever you finally heal that wound, you become healed in a sense and able to help other people heal that exact same wound. So you pretty much mastered the art of healing that wound in a sense. So it's really a self mastery asteroid, you know, and it takes a lot of pain in order to get to that healing place. It's like through pain you gain healing, you know. No pain, no gain, for sure, with Chiron. So when you have it in opposition to Saturn right here, this Saturn is a very heavy energy. It's an earth sign, so it deals with limitations and restrictions, and it's all about teaching you hard lessons, you know, to make you strong and stable, you know. So when you have this fierce energy up against this the asteroid of Chiron, this is going to speak about getting some harsh lessons that you have to digest and really just kind of suck it up and move through it in order to get to the good part. You know, it's like you have to move through the pain here. So there's a big emphasis again on healing certain wounds around the partnership that may be very restricting at times, limiting, even really heavy lessons there. So that's Chiron for the most part. We have Bacchus as the next asteroid. In Bacchus, it speaks of higher states of consciousness, ecstasy, and overstimulation. So you'll also see here that certain Aries energies may deal with a really high drive, really high passions, really into expressing their willpower and exerting it outwardly in some way, shape, or form. You know, this can manifest as, you know, being a daredevil, or just being really into athletics, or just really needing to work out a lot and work out a lot of that inner energy, because you can have a lot of drive, you know. Even with Bacchus, you want to be careful because it can lead to addictions, or wanting to just experience a different side of reality, you know. So that's where you get into that higher states of consciousness and in dealing with higher drugs or things that really tap you into different states of consciousness. So that's Bacchus. And then you have Isis trans Pluto here. And Isis trans Pluto at 3 degrees deals with, in the sign of Aries, that is, deals with self-mastery, the process of achieving wholeness and integration, alienation, and fragmentation. So this asteroid gives you a idea and another understanding that a lot of the Aries energy are dealing with needing to put themselves back together, to refine certain parts of themselves that's been fragmented in order to gain more of this self-mastery over the self-identity. There's a need to really learn yourself again through the eyes of another. So that's why you have this Saturn opposition here, because again, Saturn, I wouldn't say Saturn is just harsh for no reason. You know, Saturn is trying to teach you how to gain mastery over yourself as well. Okay, so you have two asteroids here dealing with self-mastery, and you see that there's a need for you to really use other people and see other people that are in your relationships, your spouse, your mother, your whoever, your family, to really see yourself through them. Because with this Chiron here, wherever you have Chiron, is you don't see yourself clearly. So for all Aries energy, South Node, Ascendant, and Sun, you're gonna find that there's some type of block you feel when it comes to understanding your roots in some way, shape, or form, or just understanding your identity to its completeness. And I know we all kind of deal with this kind of notion of not really knowing where we belong within the United States of America. Or I wouldn't say all of us, but, you know, most of us are minorities. You know, it's like a kind of unfamiliarity, however you say it. But when it comes to Aries, you're gonna find that it's a little more potent, because you guys are here to achieve self-mastery and to really be like the head honchos, of society, to really help society learn how to heal these wounds of not knowing their identity and their roots. So it's almost like you guys have one of the most heaviest parts of the healing journey, because literally the asteroid Chiron is there making you guys the leaders of the healing. The leader of healing, leader of healing your roots and your foundations and your home life and your family. So that's what that Isis trans Pluto. That's also a really like again dealing with a lot of self mastery and needing to transform a lot of these pains and traumas in order to be whole and integrated again. So then we have Zeus here, right? And Zeus speaks of leadership, egotistical, God complex, overbearing authority. So Zeus here is a very masculine energy, and it speaks of you being able to have a lot of power over others and even over yourself, which can put you in a place of leadership on the positive side, and then on the more negative end of the scale, it could be very overbearing and very egotistical. Again, I advise that you guys all look into these mythologies, because they will really give you an understanding more of the story, and you can even find that you can relate to these stories. Zeus in the mythology was the god of the Olympians, so he was very abundant, but again, he was kind of overbearing and tyrannical when it came to certain things. So there's a need to balance out the ego here with Zeus here. So a lot of Aries energy may be very strong and very capable of achieving a lot and controlling a lot. But there's a need to make sure that you're balanced with that, which is also speaking of this opposition with Libra on the other end. So then we have the next asteroid, which is Diana. All right, so Diana at 7 degrees speaks of the protector of your birthrights, warrior spirit, physical strength, high stamina, and repression. So Diana here is giving you an idea that a lot of Aries energy deals with their energy trying to be repressed or suppressed in some way, shape, or form. This also goes back again to this Saturn opposition with restrictions and limitations. Okay, but it really is shining a light here with Diana, giving you an understanding that you're gonna have to really stand up for yourself a lot of times in this lifetime, because there's literally a lot of repression pointed at you, almost in a sense not wanting you to do the healing that you are here to do. So there's a really strong need to awaken that inner warrior energy and to use all of that power and might, and that even goes into the Zeus energy. You guys have a lot of power and a lot of strength, and even a lot of anger with that Chiron there, but there's a need for you to direct it in the correct places, versus misguiding that anger, and then probably hurting a potential loved one or a family member or something. There's a need to direct that authority and that rage, even in that anger, to the correct places, because there are things that deserve for you to stand up and make your voice heard against whatever was repressing you. Because with Diana, it also shows you that there's something that wants to take what's rightfully yours, and you in a sense know this. I think all Aries kind of have this fighter mentality, because they already know that they already have it in them to stand up for themselves. They're already self-motivated in that regard. But it's like you need to make sure that you're not lashing out against the wrong people, and that you're protecting the correct things at the same time, with that Diana energy, because you're your warrior spirit, you're very capable again. So then we get to the next asteroid, and this is Hebe, 25 degrees. All right, and this speaks of eternal youth, sexual abuse, abuser or victim, and primal urges. So this one is a very sensitive asteroid. It speaks of eternal youth, on the positive end, and just really having that youthful spirit, that youthful zeal, that youthful vibrant vibe about you, that childlike mentality even. But again, when we have Saturn opposing this speaks of something trying to repress that eternal youth energy, or something trying to limit that eternal youth energy, or restrict that eternal youth energy within you in some way, shape, or form. And this could come from society, or authority figures, or just anybody that is in authority, or that you feel is in authority, can be that person, that's there to restrict or limit you in some way, shape, or form. This can manifest in ways of sexual abuse, child abuse. It can manifest as you being taken advantage of in growing up and becoming that abuser, or never healing from that wound and allowing it to restrict you in some type way, shape, or form, or even just giving away your energy because it's just a wound that you never really understood how to heal from. So this can manifest very again, traumatic situations, because Chiron is involved. So this is dealing with some very traumatic lessons here for Aries Sun ascending the South Node. So this is a very healing moment, And then when it comes to the primal urges, ultimately there's a need for you to really, again, direct your energies to the correct sources, because that energy can attract the wrong situations, and it can also send out the wrong messages if it's not guided the correct way. So a huge need to heal from any abusive situations or victim mindsets, and really even protect yourself. I would even say Aries South Node ascended and Sun. Look, be careful for this, not to fear monger or anything, but my point here is to raise awareness. So if you have, even children with that Aries energy, just make sure that you are helping them to express themselves correctly, making sure that you are getting that energy out there correctly, working out, expressing your creativity in a correct way, and not repressing these people, because you can also see this manifest as being a child, and then your parents are some authority figure, which is mostly your parent when you're kids, repressing your energy in some way, shape, or form, which leads you to rebel or to get in certain situations that end up with you becoming abused in some way, shape, or form as a kid. So this is a very, very important asteroid to keep in mind. So we will jump deeper into it in the video. So the next asteroid, the last one we have, is Nemesis at 28 degrees. All right. So Nemesis is the guardian over those less fortunate, or I should say, Nemesis in the sign of Aries for you guys can manifest as you becoming a guardian over those less fortunate. It can give you the courage to fight your enemies. Power struggles can manifest as well. You can act off impulse, adversity from society. So Nemesis is also a very powerful asteroid and a very important one to keep in mind. So when it comes to Aries, you're going to find that you deal with a lot of these tyrannical energies, or these forces that try to bring you down. It's a nemesis is somebody who is against you. It's an enemy. So this energy is there because you face this from a society. This manifests in society in some way, shape, or form within the United States of America, and it's inevitable. So it's something that you want to really keep in mind, that you're going to face a lot of opposition from society and people trying to basically underhand you and just really do underhanded things that ultimately are just trying to take what's yours. It's like you just have to really learn to defend and stand up for yourself. And what this asteroid can also manifest in on the positive end is somebody who goes through so much adversity. And again, this is what Chiron ultimately is, but somebody who goes through so much adversity that they learn to become a helper for those less fortunate, and to fight for those that can't fight for themselves, and they become the guardian, over these diabolical nemesis, or these authority figures that are parasitic, so there's a lot of weighty responsibility that's put on Aries already, and that's why they're so strong as well, So that's the associated planets and asteroids. We're going to dive deeper into the lessons here and get a little more information. All right, so the next life lesson we have, number 1, is overcoming primal urges and fleshly desires. All right, so learning moral integrity. There can be a tendency to abuse your power, which can lead to a puffed up ego. The objective of this lesson is to learn how to share your resources in a balanced way that allows you and the other to feel satisfied. You can easily manipulate and control situations. This is why a heavy emphasis is put on having integrity in private and public situations. Lower manifestation of this Aries energy within the USA. A wounded masculine energy, male or female. Sexual abuse, the abuser or victim. Karmic relationship cycles. Immoral desires. The higher manifestation of this Aries energy within the USA, a very wise and protective masculine energy over feminine energy, male or female, relationship harmony and passion, love over lust. So this first lesson is speaking of this first square we have here to Capricorn in the first house, and it is also intersected here, so we're also dealing with the second house as well. And notice it is intersected, which we'll jump into that more, what that means deeper into the series when we get to Capricorn. But for anybody who just wants to kind of look into that on their own, feel free to do that. So overall here, we are talking about overcoming our primal urges and our fleshly desires. So there's a huge need to really understand how to balance yourself when it comes to asserting your willpower, because you could assert yourself towards the wrong things because you're in a place of being wounded. Again, we wrote that this can manifest as a wounded masculine energy, male or female, sexual abuse. So this is where kind of like that sexual abuse theme comes back up again when dealing with Hebe, because you can find that the things that you're going after are the way you're asserting yourself, are the urges that you're getting are making you go after things, and you're kind of not really, you're acting before you think, and before you know it, you're in a situation where you're getting abused in some type of way or shape or form. So you want to be really careful of controlling those urges. And again, that's why having certain physical activities in any way, shape, or form, sports or just traveling or socializing, any healthy type of way of getting it out is really important, because it can really help you. Because again, we already see that there is some type of repression going on with the Aries energy. So there's a need to find healthy outlets, because if not, it can manifest as you having an urge or a desire to do something and not being able to really do it, can make you manifest this in really abusive ways, karmic ways. It can put you in karmic cycles with lovers, and you're trying to figure out why you're in this situation, but it's because of a cycle that it's urges that you keep getting, and you keep acting on them without actually stopping to think about it, but also to heal it, so that you can, now when those urges come up, control it better, and that will ultimately lead you again to having a more balanced energy, which will lead you into more relationship harmony, because we have here the higher manifestation is somebody who's balanced within themselves. So to be balanced, you will think about it before you're just acting. That acting is more of that masculine energy just kind of going out there. But that feminine energy that you need to cultivate more of, which a partner can even help you with that. Most Aries will manifest a partner that helps them with that. But again, you want to make sure it's not a karmic cycle that you're in. And it's one that's a relationship harmony. It's a balance. So again, that feminine energy will help you think about it, and that will allow you to make sure that you're making the right move, and you're not allowing your urges and your desires to take over. Okay, so there's just a need to really slow down at times, and to really think about things, and to really make adjustments where needed. A huge emphasis on balancing that masculine and feminine energy. And this is dealing with your lover, your spouse, your feminine energy around you, catering to their needs and doing things that helps them will also help you to also cultivate more of that balance that you need, because thinking about the other like that is just going to put you into that mind frame of even just wanting to balance out those hemispheres more. So again, that's really important. And love over lust, you'll find that you start to turn more to love, and versus those lustly desires that may try to take over you. They don't have as much power over you anymore because you overcome them with the power of love. So that's another way that you'll find that this manifests once you've inculcated a lot of these lessons. So there's a really, really big emphasis on really overcoming them. You'll find that you're put in situations where you have to really have integrity. Nobody's there, nobody sees you probably but God, right? But at the same time, God sees you, right? So karma's real, and you really want to make sure you're making the right choices. And you also want to make sure that if you've been put into a situation, where you've been abused in some way, shape, or form, that you're just getting the right healing that you need in order to stay clear from any of those situations being manifested again. You want to make sure you're learning any lessons that you need to learn from that experience, that traumatic experience, so that you don't keep repeating those cycles within your relationships or with lovers and so on. So that's the lesson number one. That's mainly really important. Excuse me. We're gonna go into the next lesson here. We have life lesson number 2: cultivating harmonious unions and partnerships. A need to heal from psychological wounds, traumas that have affected your relationship with your inner foundation and are the feminine energy. These karmic patterns play out in relationships with the mother, spouse, and the foundational roots, which have left the Aries energy feeling fragmented and tainted within the USA. Learning wholeness and integration are the key components to mastering this lesson. It can be hard to maintain a sense of comfortability within the USA, leading to destructive and explosive moments within your home life and intimate unions. There's a need to analyze your behavior patterns and how they affect the other in order to cultivate harmonious partnerships. Through gaining higher education, you gain awareness of the self and begin to heal psychological and emotional wounds that help you to feel more complete, whole, and integrated. Lower manifestation of this Aries energy within the USA is a lack of maternal care and support, parental abandonment, premature endings, social alienation, relationship disharmony. Let's talk about it first. So the lower manifestation of this, as you can see, these are lessons again that are trying to help you to cultivate more harmonious unions and partnerships. So there's a lot going on here with this next square, which is basically the Cancer energy over here dealing with your relationships and intimacy. So there is something that may have occurred, or I wouldn't say, there's an issue that occurred with the mother or with the foundational roots that really affected the way you view the feminine energy or the way you even carry yourself. And feminine energy deals more with, and this can play out for male or female, it's the way you care for yourself, the way you nurture yourself, the way you care for your emotional wounds, the way you care for other people's emotional wounds. Those are all those things, the way you receive things, the way you receive love, those are all very feminine traits that are very necessary for you to cultivate harmonious unions with partners. So this one speaks of you really needing to heal from any type of traumas that may have affected the way you view the feminine energy. There's a need to really analyze any type of wounds or things that trigger you that may come from the feminine energy, whether this be through your mother and it's something that triggers you, whether it be from your spouse and it's something that triggers you, whether it be from anybody. It can even be from your dad, anybody, because feminine energy is for male and female. But there's specifically with the fourth house being involved and we having the sign Cancer, there's a big emphasis on the mother here, because the fourth house is the home and family. Cancer rules the mother energy. So there's something to look at there, and you really want to make sure you heal those wounds there, because it can really put you into situations where you feel abandoned, or it could have been growing up you were abandoned in some way, shape, or form, or the mother wasn't there, or you didn't receive the correct care that you needed, and in turn it made you more wounded, or it just made you view things the way you view them now. And you can find that in relationships it's just really hard for you to connect with your spouse, or you have these emotional outbursts, or you just have moments where things just don't go right, or they just go really wrong within your relationships or your partnerships. And you'll find when you really tap in and you look at these wounds from a psychological point, that a lot of this is something that stemmed from childhood or something from your child. These moments, these explosive moments, are reminding you of something from your childhood. So it's making you triggered, you know, and it's because it's taking you back to a wound. It's hitting a wound that hasn't been healed yet. There's a big emphasis on needing to really psychologically look at those wounds for you to become more complete and whole and integrated. And you can do regression work to really help with this. You can get a natal chart with me, and we can dive into this deeper on a personal level. You can also do your own self study and dive into this on your own, but you really want to make sure you're bringing any of those unconscious wounds or subconscious wounds to the light to be healed so that you can cultivate a more harmonious union and partnership. So the higher manifestation of this Aries energy you'll find is the integration of the conscious mind, ego, and the subconscious mind in order to rise to a higher status, lucrative joint ventures, healthy relationship with the feminine energy, the mother, the spouse, wholeness. So the higher manifestation of this, once you've integrated these lessons, is you'll see that you just are more whole. You feel more at peace with yourself. And it's going to give you more of an understanding of your identity, which is very important because we are talking about Chiron here still, which is a wound around the identity. So you want to make sure that you are really, again, healing those wounds, because you're going to come to a more balance within your with internally and externally. So this will reflect within your unions, your spousal partnerships, well, and as well as within, when it comes to how you talk to yourself, how you carry yourself, how you feel emotionally about yourself. You're going to find that you've healed from a lot of those wounds, and those same things that maybe triggered you before are not going to be able to trigger you like that anymore, because you would have done the healing work to integrate a lot of those wounds and to even understand the higher meaning in lesson behind it. Because again, that's why I'm even doing this series, is because there's a higher lesson to be learned through a lot of these experiences that we're going through, whether it be a lower manifestation or a higher manifestation. There's still lessons for you to learn there, and you want to make sure you're learning these lessons, because some of these experiences can be really traumatic, and there's no need to repeat them. You don't want to keep repeating them, because that can make you get into a space of depression or just feeling like giving up, and become more unmotivated. So you really want to make sure that you are integrating these lessons and really doing the inner work that's needed so that you can get to the higher manifestation of these things and to live your greatest life. All right. Again, this can also manifest as lucrative joint ventures when we're talking about living your great life. So this is what it'll be. You'll be going on, more harmonious trips with your mates, or you just find that you're able to work more harmonious with people, whether this be platonic or monogamous, or just with anybody. You just find that you are able to really connect with people, and it's going to actually bring you a lot of success working with people, because that's a life lesson. You integrate the lesson, and you get a blessing from it. So the more especially with Saturn on this side, which is about lessons and karma, and definitely rewards from good karma. So the more you work on those relationships and you heal those wounds, you'll find that you come into great success. And it's a lot of it's going to be within your 10th house of your public image, and with Libra being the sign of relationships. And again, these asteroids here just speak of love, and just really coming into a higher understanding of what life is, which is going to enrich your relationships, your unions in general. So that's lesson number 2. The last lesson we have here, which is the overall one of the top things we've been talking about today, when it comes to Aries, is self-mastery. So the Aries energy can perceive what the group and the collective need and have the strength to help bring it to fruition. Naturally able to intuit danger, and oftentimes go through painful experiences that drive them towards self-mastery. These can manifest as power struggles, where heavy restrictions and limitations were placed on them early in life, forcing them to grow into a role of authority. These power struggles manifest in your physical reality as teachers, government officials, peers, and family members that provoke you to rebel and break free from any spiritual claptraps that seek to steal your birthright and identity. Doing so will help you stand in your power and heal any repressed emotions, allowing you to take calculated risk on the road to self-mastery. that will make you feel guided instinctively by a higher force. The lower manifestation is scapegoating responsibilities, assigning blame, self undoing, trickster mentality, arrogant, destructive impulses, mentally imprisoned. The higher manifestation is healthy anger management, great learning and grasping capabilities, using your willpower to gain success through defeating enemies and oppressors, defending the innocent, saving lives, spiritual advisor, rebel with the cause, liberator, independent of social constraints. So, lesson number 3 deals with this overall opposition here, and it's with Saturn. And this one is ultimately teaching you how to gain self mastery. Life, and a lot of the life lessons that a lot of Sun in Aries, South Node in Aries, or Ascendant in Aries, they're on a road to self mastery. So a lot of these power struggles and a lot of these blocks that they receive from society and early on in their life are really here to try to teach them to learn how to step into that role that's their birthright. A lot of them will find that their birthright of stepping into that authority in a balanced and harmonious place, able to really guide and lead the masses even, is trying to be stripped from them. And it's a lot of the wounds that have happened from childhood that keep them kind of trapped in this child place. It's like, again, with the Hebe asteroid, something trying to take their childhood from them. And if you're stripped of your childhood, you can't grow. You are wounded there. You stay stuck at that same age, in a sense, or that same vibration of that age when you were that age, and you don't grow past that. You don't, because you didn't heal. So that's what's trying to happen in a sense with this Aries energy. And so it's very important for them to understand the higher level of a lot of this energy that's coming at them. And I know it will take time, because with Saturn things take time, and it could be when they get way older that they start to realize that, okay, a lot of these things happen because of this XYZ. But again, you can tap in at any time and understand these things. You have free will. But again, you will see that a lot of these things that they have coming at them are really putting them in a situation to provoking them to rebel, or to break free from whatever that is. So it's like they always are kind of put into these situations that put them back into a wall, but it's like life is trying to teach them to stand up and fight. And no matter how many people are in front of them, no matter how many authority figures tell them no matter how many times the door gets slammed in their face, there's a need to keep going, because through all of the no's, through all of the back corners, you're gonna one day realize that nobody can back you in the corner no more. Nobody can tell you no more. You telling people no. You backing people in the corner if you want to. That's the type of power that comes with this position. But again, with great power comes great responsibility. So you will find that you are early on going through some of the most trying times, and they're you can feel like it's trying to break you, but it's really putting you back together. So it's a very trying lesson here. But the higher manifestation is beautiful. You really come into this higher understanding of everything that you've been through, which gives you power. Knowledge is power here for sure. And you use that same power and knowledge to defeat those enemies, and to not only defeat those enemies, but you come into this place of leadership, to where you are now helping those less fortunate, and you are putting things in place and in measure to make sure that those less fortunate never have to go through what you went through. So it's a very empowering placement as well, and it can bring you a lot of fruitful abundance, to really learn these lessons and to really master yourself this lifetime, because that's what it's here for. And you have everything you need to do it. You're very strong, very mentally capable, and to withstand anything that comes your way, which is why you have Saturn opposing you, because you can handle it. You can handle it. So I hope this overall video for Aries was helpful in some way, shape, or form. With Chiron there, this is one of the more touchier planets, and it is more of that healing energy that comes with it. So I hope it was even healing for you in some type of way. And again, we will go deeper into these, to the squares and these other zodiac signs as we get to them. But for this video, we were specifically focusing on the Aries energy. If you need any assistance with healing or getting through any of these traumas, or you just want to kind of get a understanding of your energy, or you need some guidance as to how to apply this energy more in your career or your relationship or your identity, hit me up. We can definitely talk about these things. I have my link to my website in my description box below, and you can click on that link, go to my website, fill out the form, and we can get it going.